Hi, this is Ryan, my husband. He's the quiet type, but he's happiest when he's fishing or watching any sport. This is me. I'm behind the camera 90% of the time, and if I'm not, you might get a great shot of me like this, courtesy of my husband. This is our oldest, Jude, who loves collecting rocks, sticks, feathers, and is always up for an adventure. This is our second born, Bodie. He's in the super slow walking club and may or may not be up for an adventure. He loves to tell a great story though and will make sure you're captivated. This is our third boy, Oakland. He generally enjoys adventures, but he also loves home and a good nap. And our youngest, Beta Girl. She didn't join us on this trip, but she is sassy and sweet. And we're the Daniel 6. Thanks for joining our road trip. We took a quick drive out to Tioga Recreation Area outside of Grand Rapids, which draws in mountain bikers near and far. Seeing as we didn't have mountain bikes, we opted to stick to the main access road to not get in the bikers' way. The area is 500 acres of woodland and mountain biking trails that rest along the Tioga Mine Pit, which is 225 feet deep. It's a neat looking lake with cliffs on one side that we would have liked to hike up to if we didn't have three littles. While the kids had fun hiking the trail, my oldest was a little bummed that there wasn't a legitimate mine pit at our feet with gems lying about. I think if we ever get back to this recreation area, we'll try to have mountain bikes to join in on the fun. Voyageurs is located outside of International Falls in northern Minnesota, bordering Canada. This national park was established in April of 1975 and spreads out over 218,055 acres. There is no entrance fee, and there are 3 visitor centers to access various parts of the park. With 84,000 acres of water, the best and only way to access a majority of the park is by boat. You'll be able to see the outcroppings of 2.7 billion year-old rocks, and if you're there in the evening hours, you may be lucky enough to catch the northern lights.
Voyageurs is one of 117 certified international dark sky parks. The park has 2 locations they've designated as dark sky areas that are accessed by vehicle. but with so much shoreline, nearly all the campsites would provide some spectacular stargazing. For our trip, we booked a private guided tour by boat.
Your best bet would be to take an entire day trip, and if you book it far enough in advance, you'll book a boat tour through the recreation.gov website or app.
There are plenty of private guides and tours that you can hire as well. We just did a quick Google search and found our guide Bill through Border Service Guides.
After a quick tour through a passageway toward Gold Portage, we took a drive over to the Ellsworth Rock Gardens. Jack Ellsworth is the mastermind behind the rock gardens within Voyageurs. Over about 20 years, before this area became a national park, he constructed 62 flower beds and over 200 rock sculptures. Ellsworth's health took a decline in 1960. And he didn't revisit his gardens after 1965. He passed away in 1974, his wife a few years later. Between his health decline and his death, the gardens became neglected and the grass and forest overgrown. The dock collapsed, pieces of sculptures went missing, and others were tipped over. The national park acquired the property in 1976 and years later obtained funding to revitalize the area close to its original state. Visitors continue to come and are able to see a small part of Ellsworth's creations, though not all. If ever in the area, we highly recommend visiting the gardens. We were the only ones there, and our boys loved walking through the paths and seeing the unique sculptures throughout.
Voyageurs has 146 front country campsites, 14 backcountry, and 2 primitive campsites within the park. All campsites must be reserved ahead of time. The front country sites are easily accessed by boat and are right off the big lakes, Rainy, Kabetogama, Namakan, and Sand Point. The backcountry sites are a little more remote and are within the park's interior lakes. They require a hike of several miles and have less amenities than the front country sites. The primitive campsites do not need to be accessed by boat, but do require a hike. While they have fire rings, they do not have the other amenities that the other campsites have. If sleeping on the ground in a tent isn't your style, there are several private companies that rent houseboats. This option would allow you to explore so much of the park, all while having more of the comforts of home.
Our boat trip wrapped up our Voyageurs adventure, and now it was time for the 2-hour drive back to the resort. Over the last 20 years or so, I've been coming to northern Minnesota with my family. We've stayed at the same resort that my dad grew up going to with his family. It's a week full of fishing, fun, and constant laughs. The kids play with their cousins, have beach and water time if the weather allows it, though this year it was colder than years past. I'm not sure what the future will look like with us getting up to northern Minnesota as we begin to venture off to new sites with our kids, but I'm sure we'll be back. Stay tuned for our next adventure to Colorado. It should be a good one.